All right, I hope it's working. Hi everyone, welcome to our favorite video of the year. It's my favorite books of 2023 that I read. They're not all from 2023. This year was a pretty good reading year for me. I originally made my goal to read 100 books this year, but about halfway through I decided to switch tactics and I just wanted to read more books than I read last year. So last year I read 66 books, so my goal was 67, and I'm at 67 right now. I'll probably read one more, at least, before the end of the year. There's still 3 days left. But yeah, for now, that's where it is. I'm really happy with what I read for the most part, although I did discover when going through my list and picking out which my favorites were, all of the books that I really loved that I read this year, I read in the beginning of the year, like the first 3 or 4 months. So it's been kind of slow going since then. I'm really hoping to turn things around for the beginning of 2024 and hopefully carry that through the rest of 2024. My other reading goal for 2023 that I did also accomplish was I wanted to read more books than I bought. And I only bought 45 books this year, which that's still a lot of books, but I'm very excited about accomplishing that. General stats, I don't think I care. I keep track of everything. I read a few audiobooks. I mostly read books digitally this year, which I'm trying to get back into physical reading for 2024. I'm not cutting out the e-readers at all, but I've got quite a backlog of physical books waiting for me on my shelf. So I want to get to those really soon. Another new goal for 2024 is I want to try to really focus on only reading one book at a time. I find I get so lost and buried with 20 books on the go, and no more of that. It's one book at a time. If I set it down to read something else, I'm officially considering it paused. It's not considered on the go anymore. And I'm really going to try to focus on whatever that one book that I'm reading at the time. I'm carrying it with me everywhere, trying to make it instead of scrolling through my phone when I'm bored, I can open the book. That sort of plan. Anyway, in terms of reading by month, not that exciting either. There's a really slow period in the summer when my work got really busy, but other than that, it was pretty consistent. I read the most books I read in January when I had a lot of free time. I had an extra week off work. So I read 15 books in January, and then it averaged about 8 to 10. Or, no, that doesn't make sense. But a good month was 8 to 10 books, and then the slow months were 1 or 2. All right, let's get into the favorite books. I've really kind of narrowed it down. Most of my favorite books from the year I read at the beginning of the year. Anyway, let's get into it. The first one I want to talk about is Autobiography of Red by Anne Carson. I loved this book. It's written in poetry, very queer. It came out in 1998, so it's backlist, but seek this book out if you haven't already. It's so unique and cool, and it's about this relationship between a mother and her son. Lots of really interesting themes are explored in this book, and it's told through poetry, and it's not couplets. It's a actual moving, rollicking, epic poem, but contemporary. Another thing was, this was actually the very first book that I read this year, my second pick, which is The English Understand Wool by Helen DeWitt. This is a short story, novella sort of situation, but it's so good. I don't want to give too much away because it's so short and it keeps moving so fast, but it's if you are interested in the literary world at all, it's interesting to read. If you're interested in scammers, it's interesting to read. If you're interested in the elite, the upper class, obsessions with those sort of things, give it a read. This is part of New Direction's storybook collection. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they're basically hardcover storybooks for adults. They're stories designed to be read in one sitting. And I loved it. It was a great way to start the year. And I actually have a few more from this collection, and I might try to start the next year off with one of those as well. All right, next I have Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton. This is a graphic novel memoir. It won Canada Reads this year, which is a big reading kind of competition program. And it's really cool. This is about a woman working in the oil sands in Alberta. It's a Canadian book. She's from Nova Scotia, which is where I'm from. There's really cool depictions of Nova Scotia in the graphic novel. There's certain scenes where I know exactly where they are. They're streets I walk every day. And this was beautifully done. This was a great analysis of kind of what leads people to leave their families to find work and kind of the cost of the work that they're doing. This is a book I'm recommending to everyone this year. It's like number one that I'm telling people to read. Next I have Brother and Sister Enter the Forest by Richard Mirabella. I really loved this book. This was a great contemporary novel, very queer, an exploration of the relationship between a brother and a sister. It talks about addiction and family struggles, relationships. This was like kind of like the perfect contemporary read. If you want something kind of serious, if you want something queer, check out Brother and Sister Enter the Forest. It's a little bit different. I'm not seeing it recommended in as many places as I think it deserves to be. So please check it out. All right. I have two left, and these are kind of my top two books of the year. These are the books I keep telling everyone to read. I'm going to start with Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cardova. I loved this book. I read the ebook as an ARC a few months before it came out, and I bought a hard copy to give my boyfriend for Christmas because I think he would love it too. And now there's a hard copy of it in our house. This is a book, it's kind of framed as a horror novel, but it really evolves into something super different and unique. Basically, it's about a woman whose son has died, and she rips out a piece of his rib to build a new creature in his place. And it starts off really creepy, but evolves into this beautiful allegory for found family and queerness. And Monstrilio, the little monster, is the sweetest little freak I've ever read. And I think about him all the time. And I can't wait to read that book again. Anyway, that's Monstrilio. Please read it. It might not be for everyone, but it was for me. And the last book was so fun. It's The Rachel Incident by Carolyn O'Donoghue. I'm obsessed with this book. I can't stop thinking about it. Even though it's not a big, complex, allegorical, elaborate thing. It's not a big fantasy series. It's very contemporary, quiet, like kind of beautiful story about, a girl and her best friend. And this book feels like sitting down with a friend who you haven't seen in a while and catching up and just gossiping. There's so much like salacious little twists and turns in this story. It's like peeling back every layer, like, please tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. What happens next? It's fun. The hijinks that they get into are so fun. It made me reminisce about my early 20s in such a beautiful way. And I think this is perfect for anyone who's ever felt that, like kind of trying to find yourself as you finish university or enter adulthood, and kind of your first time feeling like an adult. And you're both grown up and not grown up at the same time. And this explores that so well. I think I'm going to read this book a lot. This is going to be my number one reread all the time because it's just like so cozy, loving these characters, getting to know them. It's perfect. Read The Rachel Incident. All right, a couple honorable mentions. I want to mention Open Throat by Henry Hoke. I read that last year, so I think it was in my favorites of last year, but it technically came out this year. The Guest by Emma Cline, I think, is on most people's lists, so I don't need to go too much into that. I really loved Death Valley by Melissa Broder this year. If you're interested in something kind of weird, but I didn't find it as weird as her other books. So if you found, I know I recommended the Pisces and milk fed to some people before, and they're like, that was a bit too weird for me. So maybe start with Death Valley if you're interested in the Melissa Broder universe. I also really liked the book Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. This was about a woman working in the tech industry in San Francisco. And there were some really cool things being done in this book, playing with form, playing with a lot of different themes that it was exploring, kind of layering on top of each other. And I really found it really effective. I really liked that book too. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. I'm probably going to make another video of most anticipated books for 2024 because I have a big list already of things I'm excited for. And yeah, please let me know what your favorite books of the year were in the comments. I want to know. And what are your reading goals? Let me know that as well. I have some ideas for how I'm going to kind of change up the format of my videos, and I think it's going to be more consistent. I think I have time. I have the energy to make more videos. And I found a way to do it that'll work. And I'm excited about it. So I'll see you really soon with another video. Happy New Year. I'll see you later.